Hey everyone, today we're going to make this cute bird plush out of fuzzy socks. To make this, you're going to need to know how to sew and needle felt. If you don't know how to needle felt, you could easily make the beak out of another medium. I'll leave a list of possible substitutions in the description box, but feel free to get creative using whatever materials you have on hand. You'll also need a gray fuzzy sock and the toe of a yellow one. The rest of the supplies we'll be using today will be listed in the description box below. I typically leave a lot of useful information down there, so it's usually worth a look if you're interested in learning more about whatever I'm making. Anyway, to start, cut the gray fuzzy sock about an inch above the heel. Stuff it with toy stuffing. Add an extra bit where you want the tail to be. Now, thread your needle and tie several knots in the end. Sew the bottom of the bird closed with a running stitch. If you don't know what a running stitch is, it's basically a series of large stitches that lets you close a gap like a drawstring bag. As you pull it closed, stuff the raw edges into the hole and secure it with a couple of stitches. Tie a couple of slip knots and hide the end in the plush. Find the toe seam on your yellow sock. Since it will be visible on the finished plush, you may want to use a better quality sock that has a less evident seam like the one I have here. Cut the sock about an inch below the seam. Put it on the body like a hat, making sure it's even on all sides, and sew it on. Once you've gone all the way around, make a couple slip knots and hide the end. Now we're going to needle felt the beak. Fold some gray wool that's a similar color to the body in half and begin felting. Unlike a bird with a beak that's pointing outwards, the type of bird I'm making today has a beak that's curved inwards, like an owl or a parakeet. With that in mind, felt a small bean shape with one end slightly wider than the other. Once you're finished, sew it onto the head. Now I'm going to use a Sharpie marker to draw out two wing shapes, each about an inch long. Sew them, leaving a quarter open for turning. cut them in turn, then making sure the raw edges are tucked inside, whip stitch them closed. Secure them to the body with a couple of stitches. Here I'm making a couple of indents where I want the eyes to go by making 2 stitches, then pulling it tight and securing it with a slip knot. Then I superglued on some flat backed eyes. You could also sew on beads or make knots with embroidery thread. To add cheeks, I'm using chalk pastel dust and applying it with an eyeshadow applicator. I find that if you scrape off the dust then brush it on, the color becomes too concentrated, so I just gently picked up some of the pigment straight from the stick. If you don't have chalk pastels, you can also use blush or eyeshadow. You can even color on your finger with a magic marker and dab it on, then let it set so that it doesn't get everywhere. With that, we're finished. I really like this little bird. I think I may turn it into a series, like making different types of birds as soft plushies. If you don't want to miss that, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and if you're interested in making this bird too, remember to check the description for a material list and a list of substitutions. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!